Very warm good morning to all of you. Srimati Vijay Bharati Saini, Acting Chairperson, National Human Rights Commission, and I have a strong fraternal bond with her. We both belong to the legal fraternity. Shri Bharat Lal, Secretary General NHRC. There are many people in the audience. I have enormously benefited from their guidance. Some of them have mentored me. It will be difficult to pick out names for fear of omission and thereby violation of human rights. So, distinguished audience, excellencies, and friends in the cause of human rights. I had a tenure which I will not be able to forget because it is reminded on every platform. My tenure as Governor State of West Bengal. That makes me resonate about the state of human rights. But ladies and gentlemen, post-poll violence in West Bengal does not define the scene in the country. It is in isolation. But whenever someone calls me former Governor of State of West Bengal, I am reminded of the great contribution by National Human Rights Commission and law of the ruler rather than rule of law defined the situation. It emanated from a report rendered by former member of National Human Rights Commission, Sri Rajiv Jain. A thorough report that addressed all issues and also indicated the way ahead. Friends, I am happy to be here to mark the 31st Foundation Day of the National Human Rights Commission of India. Today we are not only commemorating an institution, but the fundamental values that are integral to this institution, integral to the Constitution of India, and more importantly, integral to our society and culture. This year, the World Human Rights Day theme is equality, reducing inequalities, and advancing human rights. Equality has to be understood as it is beyond definition as such. However, indisputably, at the core of equality is that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and in rights. Religion, race, color, sex, status, or other facets are merely superficial. Discrimination in any form is challenging to core aspects of human rights. Human rights are best secured and nurtured with public response. There can be no greater custodian of human rights than the public at large. We need to stand firm when such violations occur. To respect others' human rights is to respect one's own human rights. To respect others' human rights is a divine duty. These rights are inviolable. Preamble of our Constitution, seeking justice, liberty, equality to all citizens, is a sense of human rights. There is need to have fraternal feelings with respect and for persons who have a different point of view, the other point of view, different perceptions and views. Human rights, friends, can be defined broadly in two ways. First is a narrow one, legal way of defining human rights. Drop of a hat, we jump to it. Make a very small isolated instance as systemic. That's a legal way. The notion grants certain rights to individuals by their inherent being. No law is needed. We are born with human rights. We are born with basic rights. They are inalienable to humanity, inalienable to the individual. And therefore, according to me, in all humility, we must see human rights from this prism. That is our way. That is Indian way. That is the way we have lived through over 5,000 years. No country in the world can lay such a claim. When we go into evolution of these rights, they primarily started to begin with political rights, including the right to life and liberty. There was gradual accretion of other rights. Judiciary in this country has added many dimensions to these rights. But there is another way, and that is the civilizational way of thinking about human rights. That is organicist way. It looks human beings as part of organic whole, including the society, prakriti, nature. And the system as a whole has to live in peace. It is encapsulated. Sarvam Shanti. We have dictated our lives over centuries in spite of various difficulties by this dictum. For us, as a nation, nurturing of human rights is a way of life. The civilizational way of thinking of rights did not evolve from political rights or economic rights and then adding other rights, such as freedom of conscience. The basic, the pristine, the organic, the original can be looked into our Vedas. And our functioning over the ages, this defined Sukh for all, well-being of all, happiness for all. This defined, we come to the planet as trustees, not as exploiters. We live not for us, but for all. We know for sure we can be happy only with everyone being happy. In as much as we have in togetherness to save this planet, because this existential challenge is not to an individual. It is beyond any element of race, caste, creed, color, or geographical boundaries. Similar is the situation with respect to human rights. Sarva Sukhina Bhavantu, the chairman focused it. This is motto of NHRC. What a grandiose motto. A motto emanating from our civilizational ethos, emanating from what we have lived through. We have all through the history exemplified it, and in the face of very daunting circumstances, some of which were ruthless, reckless, trampling our civilization. Yet the nation stood firm. That's what India is, that's what Bharat is. Our scriptures were and are our charters. They are repository of knowledge and wisdom. They are repository of human way of life. One will have to strive for years to come to add to them. That is ultimate when it comes to knowledge. And these scriptures were loud, everyday proclamation of these rights that society and civilization granted. Our civilization created institutions to ensure that these rights were honored. In any governance in this country at any point of time, those who governed had to listen to the voice of saner people, our sages, our seers. They were the real controllers of morality, propriety, and all that constitutes welfare of humanity at large. Our temples ran open kitchens so that there was freedom from hunger. Education was free, so there was right to education. Friends, if you look at the Indian Constitution, it has 22 paintings. The first one is Gurukul. It defines our society. It's concerned that everyone would have access to education. You gave dakshina according to your ability, but there was no tuition fee. Guru dakshina. If you got education, you can reward your teacher, you can honor your teacher. But it did not have compulsion element. It had optional element. It had to emanate not from your fiduciary strength, but from call of your soul. That was sublimity we practiced and are on way to it. Everyone was allowed to practice their faith. Look at our country. Who came? They came. They were received. They were absorbed. They were in oneness. They felt at home in this country in the same manner as they felt at home at other countries. A country which they had to live under circumstances which are indescribable. That was the scenario, friends. So on and so forth, I can keep on going, but the list is endless. In a way, human rights are very much part of our moral fabric, our way of life. And why only just past? Our contemporaneous governance, look at it. It underlines this very philosophy in several ways. Policies are driven by the idea of human rights. When COVID hit us and hit the world, it was a non-discriminatory challenge to the entire planet. High and mighty and great nations suffered. In that scenario, the government ensured in this country that no one sleeps hungry, regardless of access to their means of livelihood.